Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We proudly present PowerApps. My name is Annika and I am here today for you moderating this webinar and guiding you through the FAQ section at the end. I'm happy to say hello to Andrea Rizzi from Microsoft. He is Technology Solutions Professional at Microsoft, and he brings with him expert knowledge for the Power Platform and Power BI. And from our side, as always, I'm happy to say hello to Raphael. He's our expert for the Power Platform. Hello, Raphael. Hello, Andrea. How are you?
Everything good morning. Good, thank you. Pretty good, everybody.
We can start. Okay. In this webinar, we will give you an overview of the Power Platform. We will start with a little warm-up and show you the most important functions of Microsoft Power Apps. You will learn how to create Power Apps applications based on templates or even from scratch. We will also show how tasks can be automated and integrated into Power Apps. Don't miss our important tips and tricks section at the end of the webinar. For optimizing our service for you, it would be great if you could fill out our short feedback form. This will come up when you are leaving the webinar. Your feedback is very helpful for us. Thank you in advance for your input. Okay, I will mute and have fun. Bye.
Good. So let's start. Good morning. As Annika said, my name is Andrea Rizzi. I'm a solutions professional working for Microsoft here in Switzerland, and I'm an expert in the Power Platform domain and business application domain. So today we want to start with a quick introduction on digital transformation and the Power Platform. That's my piece of the presentation. And then Rafael from Novacapta will go into the details, show some examples, concrete how some of our customers did something internally, what could be the potential benefits of adopting Power Platform. So first introduction and then getting more concrete. Digital transformation. So what we hear out there in the market, every company speaks about digital transformation. Digital transformation, it's quite a broad topic, can be quite everything, right? So can be workforce or workplace optimization, could be process optimization, could be everything. We notice that digital transformation is out there in every industry. I mean, we all know, and you all know for sure, that we have new companies, fast companies, modern companies that threaten to disrupt other stable and existing since many years companies. So every industry is trying to understand a bit more how they could get on the wave of digital transformation, for instance, in retail, for the clienteling, or for the inventory management, manufacturing, for instance, for the health and safety domain, automotive, financial services. So we have examples for each one of these industry. But it's important to understand every industry today is aware that digital transformation is a topic which is important, right? What we also see, well, it's not only localized in Europe or United States or Asia Pacific. Maybe there are some countries and some regions which are a bit more advanced in the topic because they are more modern, maybe newer countries, right? But what we see is globally there is an effect regarding digital transformation, right? And it's on every workplace. As said, for every industries, we can find some application to get some benefits in the business by leveraging digital transformation and digital tools. So first-line workers, blue collar, white collar, everybody can get benefits by digitally transforming their business processes, right? What's our response for this digital transformation? How we try to give some order to the topic, to structure it, and to get out something of it? It's a digital feedback loop. So what's this digital feedback loop? Basically, it's a model that we use to structure our view of the world, right? So we see our customers, you, and we want to help you with your end customers, with your people internally, with your products and operation. Those small points that flows into the middle, it's data, right? So a big difference between today and maybe some years ago is that everything every device, every person, website, product, device, it's connected, right? So they are generating data. And what we want to do with those data, right? We want to process them. We want to get some insights to be then able to help, for instance, your end customers to be more engaged with your brand, to transform your products to be up to date to the market demand, to empower your people to be more efficient, to work in a more efficient way, and to optimize your operations. So for each one of those pillars, then we have some products and some services that we offer together with our partners to help you getting up to speed in digital transformation. If we want to get a little bit down, so as said, data, we have a data-centric approach to digital transformation because every perspective of the word generates data. We have then Azure. So Azure is our cloud. Maybe you already heard about that. It's the place where Microsoft develops and makes available for you or our intelligence services. So when you speak about machine learning, when you speak about also databases, when you speak about AI, so all those smart services and advanced services, you can find them in Azure. On top of Azure, we build what we will try to explain to you today, the Power Platform. And on top of that, we have finished applications like Dynamics 365, which is a customer engagement plus an ERP solution. Office 365, which you all know, I suppose, so it's our productivity suite. And then we also have ISV applications. So ISV applications are applications developed by our partner, which gives a flavor from a specific industry or specific process, specific use case to the standard application that Microsoft develops. So starting from the data, Azure, basic infrastructure, smart services, Power Platform to go fast, ready to use business application, plus partner solutions. So that's the landscape, how it looks like in the digital feedback loop. Good. Now, why are we here today and why Microsoft invented and developed the Power Platform? So we were seeing that out there in the market, many customers in the application development domain, they had many challenges, right? So, and maybe you all know these challenges. So the business processes, they started to change quite rapidly. So our customers, they needed to have something really flexible to help them change and adapt with the speed required. Sometimes things were a bit complicated and you had to do development to deploy them, to test them. So those tasks were quite time consuming. Budget constraints, I mean, sometimes the budget is not the one that we would like to have. And well, resources can also be limited, right? So by understanding these challenges and many more than that, right, we try to develop a platform which enables you to go faster, even if you have those challenges in your company. And that's the Power Platform. So here we start to discuss a little bit about the product, right? In the middle, you see the three main components of Power Platform. So you have in the center PowerApps, and we will go into more detail later, but basically it's the part of the Power Platform which enables you to build applications. On the right side, you have Microsoft Flow. So Microsoft Flow is our tool to automate processes. If you want to exchange data between systems, and usually you have silo system, maybe old system, which you want to put together. If you want to request authorizations, if you want to send emails in a simple low-code, no-code way, well, that's Microsoft Flow. And on the left side, well, once you have an application, once you have data in a database, you usually want to get some insights, right? So, and to get some insights, you need a BI tool, and that's our Power BI suite that enables you to analyze the data. On the bottom layer, we have Office 365, Dynamics 365, and Azure. And those lines, they connect the Power Platform to all those tools. So what does it mean? It means that when you build something, when you build a new app or a new automation or a new Power BI report, everything is already there. It's already connected, and it's easy to make the system speak together. So we try to break down the silos and to have a unified approach. On the left side then, you see the common data service for apps and our data connectors. So that's good to know that the Power Platform is integrated with our Microsoft products, but then all of our customers, they have some line of business tools that they would like to integrate in those processes too, right? So we have this common data service, which is a centralized approach, centralized database where we can bring in all the data and then make it easier for you to build apps upon those data. And how do we do that? We do that by using the data connectors. Data connectors, we developed together with our partners some standard connectors, which enables you to connect to existing systems. So today we already have 230 plus of these connectors. And if needed, you can even develop your own connector. So once you have those connectors in place, you have all the data that you need available for apps, automation, and reporting. That's high level the idea of the framework. Apps, automation, reporting based on the common data service, and everything can be connected in there. Now, a bit more detail of PowerApps. So if you never saw the PowerApps environment before, that's on the right side, how it looks like. It's a web-based, and Rafael will go into much more detail than I'm doing right now. It's a web-based, browser-based authoring environment where developers, but not only developers, because that's meant for business people, right? That's meant for power user. What we want to do is to enable every person in the company that has a good idea to develop an app in no time without needing to know or to have an IT background. Of course, IT is always there to do the governance, the security part, to help them maybe finish the last mile if they need to do some specific integration. But the idea is do not overload IT with your requests. Use PowerApps, start to develop, and then, well, you can go much more faster than if you only depend on the IT department. So with PowerApps, if we go through the points on the left side, you can build apps with low-code, no-code approach. You can leverage native mobile capabilities of the phones, tablets, and PCs. What does it mean? It means that if you are building, for instance, an inspection app to inspect your product line and you want to get access to the GPS to determine the position of the device, you want to take some pictures, you want to send some notification to somebody, you can leverage the operating system of the mobile device. It's completely open and integrated to PowerApps. You can connect all your data with pre-built connectors, as already said before in the previous part. And you can use smart services, which are available in our Azure cloud. Of course, as said, Office 365, Dynamics 365, and others are already integrated with Power Platform. And the last point is quite important because some customers, when they see our low-code, no-code approach, and when we tell them, look, we have companies where the business starts to develop app, then the question kicks in and they say, yeah, but how can I have a good governance? How can I make sure that somebody's not doing the wrong thing, right? So what we did there, we built a full framework for managing and administering apps. It's a user-friendly framework. You can even, if you want to, you can go advanced and use PowerShell, automate things. But basically, we want to give you the tool to make sure that everybody's doing what they should do. And that's PowerApps. Microsoft Flow, we said most probably when you build an app, then you need to be able to automate some process, right? So to automate processes, we have on the right side Microsoft Flow. It's also a graphical tool where you can use connectors, triggers, actions, and you can build flows like in Visio, if you know Visio, in a graphical way to automate your processes. So really simple scenarios, but also advanced scenarios can be done via Microsoft Flow. As said, we have 230 connectors, and you can build your custom connectors there. You can even have on-premise connectors. So it's not only a tool which allows you to exchange data and to do processes between online services. If you have an existing system which is on-prem in your data center, you can install something that we call the data gateway. And with this gateway, on-prem gateway, you can exchange data with these processes, right? So it's like if your on-prem system were published to the cloud. Of course, it's secure. There is cryptography, encryption, and all those kind of things. If you want to go a step further, and the last point, of course, you can extend flows with custom logic, and you can use Logic Apps, which is an Azure service which allows you to build more advanced flows. So that's the automation part. Power BI, maybe some of you, probably most of you already heard about Power BI. So Power BI is one of the leading BI tool in the market. And one of the good things, it allows you to bring data in from different data sources, consolidate view. We also tried to develop Power BI by using the low-code, no-code approach. So we want to make it simple. You don't need to be an expert in writing queries, SQL queries, or some sort of XML queries. You can really build things by drag and dropping, by modeling the data. So it's quite user-friendly and it's quite powerful and performant at the same time. So you can do reports, you can do dashboards, even live dashboards, and you can even embed PowerApps inside the Power BI itself. For instance, IoT, I don't know if you already do Internet of Things inside your companies, having some devices connected to our Azure cloud. You could build a dashboard that informs you about what's going on with the device, with the temperature, does it need calibration, yes, no. So you can connect multiple data sources. One of those could be the IoT Hub or IoT Central in Azure, which controls or can control smart devices, and you can get some insights from there. So completely open, easy to bring in data, and available in our Power Platform. Maybe, and that's not meant to be like a marketing slide. That's more meant to be to show you that we have customers in different industries. So CPG, manufacturing, retailers. We have a lot of customers in different domains, right? The number of active users is increasing monthly, and why we are seeing that? Because what we are seeing is our customers, they start to play with PowerApps, Power Platform. They build something, they do a POC, they see that it works, then they start to build another app, then somebody in the company sees the value of developing faster apps, return on investment, and that's why we are seeing like a really good active usage with our customers. And besides that, we are also being evaluated by Forrester and Gartner and all those analysts, and what Forrester says is that we are one of the market leaders for the low-code mobile app development. That's for later. So if you want to check and read about customer stories and understand a bit more, maybe somebody in your domain in CPG, or in the luxury brand, or in the retail, what they are doing with PowerApps, we have some customer stories. Those are the main ones, but we have a lot more of that. So when we will share the presentation, down here you see there is a link that says customer stories. You can learn about what other customers did with Power Platform, PowerApps, Flow, Power BI, and others. Of course, if you need to go into more detail, we can discuss directly with you or through Nova Capta, and we can tell you a bit more what we did with some of these customers out there in the market. We also have a study, which is quite interesting to read. So if internally you need to maybe have a first discussion with the person which has the budget in your company, we have a total economic impact of PowerApps and Flow, and we have a full analysis of customer cases where they have improvement, for instance, in the application development cost and effort, so 70% reduction, return on investments highly improved, and time to do quoting and other processes reduced by 12 days to 4 days, so 3 times, right? So if you are interested, we can also share that, and you can go and read it into detail. So that's like a basis to understand what could be the economic impact behind the adoption of the Power Platform. Good. Having said that, I will switch now to Rafael. Let me see with the presenter.
Just going to make the slide thing quick, just to make sure that everyone knows what I'm going to talk or going to tell you. The content is difference to classic apps, benefits, use cases, customer stories, and so on. And in the end, how to start with PowerApps. First of all, the differences between classic apps and PowerApps is, or mostly is that you are independent of app stores like Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Raphael, sorry, maybe can you make it full screen, please?
Yeah, sure. 1
So
second.
it's a bit more visible. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
We are seeing the wrong screen now.
So there you
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, the differences are that you're independent, means you can release without guidelines because you have to fulfill a lot of guidelines from the different app stores you have. So that means you are quite fast to the market or to your internal market with the apps you develop. You do have certain restrictions on customizability on PowerApps, but it's getting better with each update Microsoft does. You do have a lot of templates from Microsoft itself, and also you can get a lot of templates online from the community. And you also get out of the box, like Andrea already mentioned, different connectors and interfaces to third-party systems. So it's not just Microsoft systems you can get access to, but also like SAP, Salesforce, Twitter, Google, and so on. So you're not restricted to Microsoft systems or to the Microsoft environment. Now, what are the benefits of PowerApps? It allows you to efficiently collaborate from business analyst to developer because it's a no-code, low-code approach. You can talk to the developer, and you also the designer is what you see is what you get approach. It's quick and easy. Sharing is out of the box included, also the versioning. I'm going to talk about those 2 points a little bit more afterwards. It's included, or the basic version is included in the enterprise and business licenses. Also the cost savings, like Andrea mentioned before. It runs natively on like literally every mobile device with Android and iOS. And also you get the access to local resources of the mobile device, like camera, GPS, also the microphone for audio recording. And you can combine it really good with Power BI and Flow, like Andrea mentioned in the overview slide. It's like the combination of those three builds the Power Platform in the end. Now, you may wonder for whom PowerApps are. For me, personally, I explain it like this to the customer. If you're really good with Excel, like with the different formulas you can use in Excel, then you're more than ready to go to try out PowerApps and also develop your PowerApps. Then it's more like a form approach where you get rid of different forms you have in paper form, but yeah, as with like every app approach, you can get from simple to really complex. And also it depends on, if it's really complex, then you need like more knowledge, but you get used to it. Because I started with PowerApps like more than a year ago, but I learned developer, so for me it was quite easy and quite fast to get into PowerApps. But I reckon if you want to learn it, you can do it really fast. Different use cases that you can imagine, or that you can that you know what kind of use cases there are. For PowerApps, it's mostly short processes are really good to start with PowerApps. Also to get rid of manual work with paper, like different forms you have where you need to fill it out by hand, scan it in with your scanner, then handle it like with more steps internally. Expense reports is also a good example. Also the holiday application. I'm not quite sure, but Microsoft also got rid of their internal tool for the holiday application with PowerApps. It's quite interesting, and also the approval workflows, where you start in PowerApps to start the approval workflow, and then combine it with Flow, where the Flow in the background sends an application, an approval request to the superior, and handles all the things. And you can also combine it with Power BI to analyze the data in the end. Now that sounds good from like in theory, and I want to also share different customer stories we already did or implemented from our side. We did a food ordering app. You can have a look at that food ordering app in the partner showcase on Microsoft itself. It's quite different to the production app, but you can get an image of how we did that. It's basically a Canvas app. The differences I'm going to show afterwards, combined with SharePoint as a data source and Microsoft Translator. So you do have the possibility to use different services from Microsoft, like the translator here, because the customer had the use case that they had to create menus or dishes in 3 different languages, and before it was a process where they created the menu or the dish in German, then copy pasted all the things into Google Translate, copy paste back, and that for the 3 different languages. And now you press one button and the translator does it itself. So works quite nice. Also we did with one of our customers, it was more like a consulting project, because he did the apps himself, but with our help, our knowledge, and that also shows he's from a different industry. He worked in logistics, and he learned everything in PowerApps by himself. So he wasn't really involved in IT work, and he learned it all by himself. And now he has like 13 or 14 different apps for a transport management system. All of them Canvas-based with SQL Server for as a data source, and Google Maps for the different routes for the transports they make. Also a store checking app, also Canvas, combined with Common Data Service and Power BI tiles. In Common Data Service, it's like a combination of the Dynamics 365 data and Common Data Service. So everything you enter in the store checking app, you also see in Dynamics 365, and you can use that data there to go on with your process. And also an insurance case management was a model-driven app, also based on Common Data Service, and with a connection to the Azure blockchain. Was more like for the audit proving, because it's an insurance and they need to make sure that it's audit proofed. And that was a project that was shown at Microsoft Ready last year, because we did that use case with Microsoft together for that company. Now, I mentioned Canvas app and model-driven app. Now, what's the difference between those 2 apps? Canvas app is more like, as the name already says, a canvas where you can make a pixel perfect user interface. So you can You can design all the controls as you like, with different colors, different font arts, and so on. The business situation is for more like simple business situations. There are a lot of out-of-the-box features like creating, editing, and deleting data. If you start from data, also start from scratch, but in model-driven app you have like more different out-of-the-box functionalities, because it's like an application inside of Dynamics 365. So that means it's used mostly for complex business situations where you already have data and already have the processes and want to optimize those processes and use the data there already is. And it's not really the pixel perfect approach, because you have more like a form designer you all maybe already know from Dynamics 365. And yeah, depends on the business situation which kind of app you want to use. Now, what's the basic structure of a Canvas app? If you start from data, it creates 3 different screens. The browse screen, detail screen, and edit screen. So you have already like, if you create it from data, you already have the opportunity to create, edit, delete data there is in this data source. And depending on the layout, there are templates available or not. And then also the model-driven app, as you can see, the designer looks quite different. As I said, it's more like a forms, view, processes approach, where you can drag and drop certain fields from your entity, and that's it more or less. Now I'm going to show you an example from Microsoft. They have quite a nice example of how you can use a combination of a Canvas app and a model-driven app. Now I think Andrea showed already a screen with a screenshot of this view. This one here is the Canvas app. As you can see, it looks quite nice. The use case behind is that you can order different devices or one device internally, like in your company, and then behind there will be an approval workflow in the model-driven app. So I can check here a few devices, then in the end compare the device, then choose my final device and also send the device request. Now the request is submitted, and I change into the model-driven app. As you can see, the model-driven app is this one here. I have all the device orders in here. I can click on one device order, and then you see here is the process where it goes through. Depending on the device, there is a certain point, like if it's over $1,000, it gets a further step with the capital approved, and you can go through the different process steps in here. And in the end, the customer and also the one that goes through the approval workflow can see where the device is right now. And how does that look like in the practical way? As you can see here, if you start with PowerApps, you land on this page here. Now you can make a Canvas app from blank, model-driven app from blank, start from data. tip from my side is that you start from data for the beginning or with one of the templates. You can click here on all templates, and then you'll see all the templates Microsoft provides. For me personally, I started with the templates because there are already most of the functionalities is in one of those templates I used in the beginning. And yeah, after I was through the templates and also had functionality that wasn't in the templates in here, I started checking the community templates, and yeah, most of the functionality I found there. Now, how does that look like? If I start from blank, I click on that thing, and then I can choose between two formats, the tablet and the phone layout. Right now, it is still a difference between the tablet and phone layout, but you also have the opportunity or the possibility to create a responsive app. Then you start with the tablet mode, for example. Then you can make different breakpoints, how the design should break, if the device is this big, and so on, like depending on the resolution you have. Now, if I start with the phone layout, the entry point looks like this. You have an empty screen, a blank screen, where you can add different controls. And yeah, I explain it mostly. It's like a PowerPoint. It's like an advanced PowerPoint presentation. Because if you add a control here, let's say a button, for example, you see in that screen a new button gets created, and it's also that tree. It's always that tree you get. So you can design that button as you like. You can change the font on the right side, for example. Here, that got to black. Like I want a smaller font, and place it here. Now we're going to add a few more elements, like another button here, that you can see the difference afterwards, and also a rectangle. And as you can see, you have a lot of things out of the box. You have different icons. You can add charts. You can add different media like images, the camera control. You also have a barcode scanner, which works now also with QR codes. You can add videos, audio, can access the microphone and add pictures. And you also have the different form types, can add tables, galleries, and controls. There are more than enough to start with, like the classics with drop-down, combo box, list box, and so on. And then also the text controls. Now you may wonder if there is something like a branding, and I need to say you can do a branding of your app, but I wouldn't do that, to be honest, because right now you do have the possibility to select from different themes. That's in here. Microsoft provides a great choice of different themes where you can use, and yeah, as you can see, it's like instant the theming you choose. The problem here is if you go with your own branding, you need to do it on every control you add. Like if you have a different, let's say, font or a different color setting, you need to make this for every control and thing you add. So that means a lot of work. It's possible, but I wouldn't recommend to do that. Maybe Microsoft is going to do like a theme editor where you can create your own themes and add that to the designer, and then I would say it's a good time to start with your own branding if you can create your own theme templates. Now, if I have my app, I can also, the app name is already given, but I can choose a different icon for my app. I can also upload my own icons for the app, change, for example, the screen orientation or the screen size. And down here is the responsive part, where it scales to the resolution you have. Now, if I have my app, I can save it, let's say to the cloud. I saved that, and now the thing is what I mentioned before, the versioning and the sharing. Now, if I want to share my app, it's probably the demo effect. Yeah. Yeah, it's just going to show it on another app. If I want to show my, if I want to share my app, I can do that here, or like in here. Just say share this app, and then I can choose from my Azure AD to share my app. Now there are two different roles. It's basically you can add co-owners of your app, like for example someone else. I can add him as a co-owner, so he can also use, edit, and share the app with others. But I can also I can just add in like this, and then he's a normal user of the app. You just need to make sure that if you use a data source and want to share it with other users, those users need to have access to those data sources. That means you don't gain magically access to data sources you normally can't access. So yeah, it's basically the permissions are user-based. So if you, like for example, you have a SharePoint list with where this user here doesn't normally have access, and you add him to this app and he uses the app, he will just see no data because he doesn't have access to those to this data. Just to make sure of that. The other thing with the versioning is I just need to show another app with different versions, like this one here, I reckon. Yeah. The versioning is included out of the box. That means each time you save, a new version gets created. So and you also see which one is the currently published version. So that means if you're going to magically destroy an app in the development phase, you can roll back just by clicking here, click on restore, and then the current live version would be taking place of the current version you just destroyed in the development phase. One other thing with the security is that you have the possibility to control the data which is used in the Power Platform. For this one, you can open up this here. Just need to get rid of this thing. In the admin center, you have a thing called data policy or data loss prevention. If I click on this environment here, for example, data policies, data loss prevention. You can add a new policy, and basically what that means is that you can say which apps can share data with other apps. Like an example Microsoft uses is if someone just resigned and thinks, all right, I want to export all the customer data from Dynamics 365 to my personal Google Drive each Friday to an Excel list, for example. Right now, he could do that, because it's not restricted. So what you can do is that you add the Dynamics 365 up here, and that means that it's just allowed to use the other connectors inside the business data only group. So that makes sure that everything business related is handled inside business related applications. So for example, that you can't do a flow which exports data from Dynamics 365 to your personal Google Drive, for example. And you can also use the security settings here, or change the security settings. Depending on the version you have, you can do it in here, or you get forwarded to the Dynamics 365 Admin Center, where you have like different roles where you can add the users and restrict certain access. And also for the development of the PowerApps, you have the opportunity to create different environments. If you already have Dynamics 365, for each instance of Dynamics 365, a new environment gets created. And you can use that in here, or you can see them all in here. That is really great because you can have like a staging environment or a development environment where you can test all the different apps and then deploy to production. Now, the thing is here that it's not really a continuous integration, continuous deployment approach, because if you, let's say you have an app here on this environment, on the Nova Capta environment, and you want to deploy it on the QM solution, for example, then you need to export the package that creates a downloadable zip file, and then you go on the other environment apps and then import the package. So that works quite nice. Now, a lot of talking. I just want to show you a quick example of me creating an app, or me showing you how it looks like if I start from data. Unfortunately, I don't have the SharePoint list in English, but basically what's on this list is an expense report where you can create different bills you had for your company, and then use that data. So what I do is I go back to the PowerApps start page, Discord, then go here to start from data, create an app, then I can choose from different connectors. In our case it would be SharePoint, phone layout, then maybe, I already have my site here, then I choose the SharePoint list, click on connect. Now in the background it tries to build my app based on the data. And that's basically it. As I said in the slide deck, I do have out of the box 3 different screens, with the browse screen, detail screen, edit screen, where I can edit and create new expenses. So how does that look like? I can go here on the preview mode, can create a new one, can add title, choose from a date, and I didn't do anything. So that's based on the data I had. Choose a customer, for example, attach a file. If you open that up on your smartphone and click on the attach file thing, then you can choose if you want to use your camera or not. So you could take a photo of the bill, for example. I could create a new entry here. I can also go on the entries I already have. Can delete that, can edit that, and these things up here are already based on the user permissions. So if I just have view rights on that list, these buttons would be disabled, and also the new one. So I couldn't create a new entry there. So just viewing. So I could delete this one here. Now it should be gone. Yeah, it's gone. Same on here. Or I could create one, and that's it. I didn't do anything, and I already have a form to create expense entries. What I could do is I save the app with an icon, and then it would be on my smartphone within minutes. Yeah, that's how easy it is. Now back to my slide deck, because we're quite over. Now, yeah, need to switch that here. Now, what Andrea and me also mentioned are the different connectors. It's quite nice that you can connect to different data sources from different companies, yeah, without needing to be within the Microsoft environment. The connectors do have on-premise support, but it's restricted, or it's not as, yeah, you do have on-premise support for SQL Server, for Dynamics and SharePoint, and there you just install a gateway on your SQL Server, for example, and that's it. You don't need to configure that on your server. You can configure that on the web service. And depending on the data source you have, the available features are good or not so good, depending on the connectors. For example, if you use certain connectors, you just have the opportunity to, let's say, create records or read records, but not edit records, for example. And also the connectors are depending on the licenses you have. There are a lot of connectors you have, like out of the box in your enterprise and business license, but the good ones mostly are in a premium license, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. The not premium connectors are included in Office 365 in the business and enterprise plans. Let's say, for example, SharePoint Online is included in the enterprise and business plans, but just to be clear, it is recommended to use other data sources depending on how much data you have. For example, if you use the free SharePoint version and work with SharePoint lists, then you're limited with the filters you have. For example, because if you're over 2,000 items, everything over that will be ignored in the app itself, because the connector is limited to those 2,000 items. And then you should use, for example, the Common Data Service or a SQL Server. And then you need Plan 1 or Plan 2, depending on the business case you have. Let's say, for example, I do have an address book app where I want to show all the contact data from my employees, like an address book. Then the one that creates the database, the Common Data Service database, that one developer needs to have Plan 2, the Plan 2 license. And all the others that use this app needs to have Plan 1. But I just need to make clear that this thing here is for N apps. So you could create like 50 apps and the license price doesn't change. So for one app, it's quite expensive, but if you have planned to create a lot of apps, this one here is a really good price. And if you want to create Plan 2 license model-driven apps, you need to have Plan 2 as well, or it's included in your Dynamics 365 license. And also to make sure that that's clear, you can use the apps within your Office 365 tenant just there. So it's an app you design internally and not for other like external users. I know it's a really upvoted feature in the user request on the PowerApps community forum, but I'm not quite sure when Microsoft will implement that. But right now in the current state, it's just for internal use of this app, like within the Office 365 tenant. Now, what you can expect in the future updates, Microsoft is working hard on the app maker experience. That means they are putting a lot of effort into updating and optimize the web designer. Also the custom reusable controls, where I said in the beginning, one of the disadvantages are the technical limitations, but I think in the future that will be erased by the custom reusable controls. Also improved data types, improved solution checker means that you can check your current app for like warnings and errors like you maybe know it from Visual Studio. And also performance analysis usage resource consumptions for admins, like because last year, like 1 year before, an admin couldn't control really what the users are doing in PowerApps, and right now there is a connector, and also they are expanding the admin center where we can see the different KPIs you want to have for your PowerApps. Now, a lot of information, but you may wonder how you could start with PowerApps. As I said in the beginning, you could just do it by yourself with the templates you have, with YouTube videos like me did. But there are also different offers from our side and Microsoft. Microsoft offers a so-called app in a day. That's the first one. In different countries. We do offer CIE workshops in Switzerland, in Wallisellen, at the HQ of Microsoft. I don't know if anyone knows the CIE workshops. It stands for Customer Immersive Experience, where I basically show what I told you today, but just in a more expanded and deep way. We also offer individual workshops, also customer tailored if necessary, also proof of concept, and the webinars we have. Yes, that's about it. And if you start with PowerApps, I would say check out the templates, get in touch with us, and yeah, then we can see what we can do. That's it from my side. If you want to have more information, there's the URL for more information with a collection of different URLs in there, how you can start with PowerApps. And now I would be open for questions if there are questions.
Thank you, Raphael. And thank you, Andrea, of course. We are a little late, but I have one question, and one attendee is asking if it's possible to replace Nintex with PowerApps and Flow.
Depends on the use case. Yes, you can. You do have the Nintex. You can replace the form designer in SharePoint with PowerApps form designer, and also the workflow part with Microsoft Flow. But it really depends on the use case you have. If you already have Nintex and already paid the license, then I would use the current Nintex. But if you have the choice, or if you don't have the license right now, I would check if PowerApps and Flow is a feasible way for you.
Okay. Okay. Yes, because of the time, I would say we will close the webinar right now.
Yeah.
Again, I want to remember all of you to give us a feedback at the end of the webinar. And I thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Raphael, again, and thank you, Andrea. And if there are any questions, you can contact Raphael or Andrea or someone at Novacapta, and we will help you to get a good answer.
Exactly. So
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good time. And
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.